Well, good morning. Back again with Elystan Morgan, maybe months and months after we did these last time. Well, Elystan, it's the EU Withdrawal Bill. Momentous time in our lives and the countries. How do you see things? What are the dangers? What are the problems, you think?
I think it is the most impacting piece of legislation affecting the status and the power of Parliament that has ever been passed in the last 100 years. And its possibilities are enormous, but its possibilities for evil are huge. The truth about it is that in so many instances now, all the legislation that has applied to Europe over 40 years will be undone, and undone according to a certain way of operating. And the way of operating will be giving ministers, not Parliament, the power by regulation to change the law. Politicians for many generations have called these powers Henry VIII powers. They date back to a period in 1539 when Henry VIII said to Parliament, "I'm not having what you're doing. I will decide." In other words, I will operate and rule by edict, by royal edict. Now, in fairness to Henry VIII's clauses, some of them have proven to be very useful to do little odds and sods bits of legislation that nobody is worried about and that doesn't affect anybody's rights at all. Curing some mistakes, improving situations. And quite often, they have been resorted to not just by the Westminster Parliament, but by the Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Assembly as well. So, A, there is a track record of innocent use of Henry VIII clauses in a very limited way. B, in 2 world wars, they have proven to be of immense value, where things could be done like that, without having to wait weeks and months for it to pass through both houses of Parliament. A very useful and necessary way of fighting a war. But there is a third category. And the third category is the capacity of those powers to be misused in such a way as to make Parliament a total mockery. And that is the threshold of what we are approaching now with the bill.
And we've got it, haven't we, on clause 9 in relation to the devolved parliaments.
Yes. It means, in relation to the devolved parliaments, that those acts of Parliament which were passed setting up the devolved parliament in Scotland and Northern Ireland and Wales are now open to discussion once again, but in such a way as to control the way in which they operate. At the moment, there is a clause which forbids any law in relation to Wales or Scotland or Northern Ireland by any of those bodies from being contrary to European law. Now they will try and rewrite it in such a way that it could be an extreme clog and fetter upon devolution. Judging by what has been done in relation to Wales, where I think there has been a great deal of dishonesty in relation to devolution in the last year
Wales
or so,
Act,
in the Wales Act of this year. If they act in the same way as they have in relation to that, then we could be in for a very great deal of trouble and loss.
So you mean things that we now carry out, as it were, on behalf of the EU, on agriculture, tourism, and many other things, there could be a power grab by Westminster?
There could be a huge drain of power from Wales to Westminster. And what they have done in relation to the Wales Bill, on the face of it, creates a reserve constitution for Wales. In other words, when you transfer everything to the devolved parliament and reserve just a few basic authorities, the question of succession to the crown, of peace and war, foreign policy, fiscal policy, etc. A small number. But you know the number of reservations in relation to Wales? 197.
That's right.
And you know the things that are included there? Dangerous dogs, sharp knives and axes.
Well, why do they think like that?
Licensing.
Yeah, why do they think like that?
They
Why
think
do they bother in that way?
They think like that because I think the wrong question was asked by the Secretary of State for Wales or the mandarins that control the different departments. The question that should have been asked should have been, are there any matters that you consider absolutely necessary to be reserved? And if so, what are your reasons? That would have been the fair, proper, legal, constitutional question to ask. But the question to ask was, dear boy, is there anything you'd like to reserve?
Yeah.
And what they said in their hearts, if not in their mouths, was
Everything.
every blinking thing we can think of.
That's right. And that's the danger with this bill.
Yes, and everything that will demean you
Yeah.
as a national entity.
Yeah, don't you think that's the danger with this withdrawal bill?
Of course.
When stuff comes back from Brussels, ends up initially in Whitehall and Westminster.
Of course.
Now then, after that, what happens?
Of
They'll
course.
want to keep their hands on it.
They've done it before. Do you remember the words of Nye Bevan? Don't bother to look in the crystal ball, read the book.
And they've done it before.
That's exactly what they've done before.
Well, we're coming to an end. What do you think is going to happen now then? You are going to be in the middle of all this in the House of Lords. There will be amendments placed by even Tory rebels, I reckon.
There will be a strong, honourable fight in the House of Lords, not against a second reading, because we accept, of course, that the elected assembly is entitled to carry on with it, and possibly not against third reading even.
Yeah.
But most certainly there will be some basic amendments passed to try and change the tenor of it. But I don't know how you change the unchangeable, because what it is basically is a Henry VIII concept of negating Parliament.
Yeah. And Parliament, and don't members of Parliament see this? You know, at the end of the day, 375 of them are Remainers. The majority of MPs are Remainers. Why are they so docile? What is the problem?
Well, it may be, you see, that many members of Parliament will be saying, well, Henry VIII clauses have been used in a very proper, mechanical sort of way
Yeah.
to correct small aberrations. Others will say, oh, they were very useful in times of war. What they haven't really thought is what you could do in a tyrannical way if you really ran amok with
That's
Henry
right.
VIII clauses, which is exactly what they're doing now.
Yeah, and let's be fair about it, and we'll finish with this. Mrs May has shown a lot of disregard for Parliament. The Supreme Court, the High Court, you know what I mean? She's trying to circumvent Parliament all along the line. And this is what's happening in this bill.
Yes, I don't disagree with you.
That's the problem. Well, there we go. That's number one, the withdrawal bill. Diolch yn fawr. Bye.